Welcome to the Dream Life is Real Life podcast. I'm your host, Hanna He. I know it might seem cheesy or cliche, but if you've got a sleeping giant inside of you, or you just feel like you're made for more, then there's no coincidence you landed here on the Dream Life is Real Life podcast. Listen, as a girl from small town Wisconsin who decided to go all in to her dream life vision, I know how crazy it can feel to chase after wild ideas. Since leaving my 9-to-5 job in academics back in 2015 to becoming a yoga teacher, a life coach, and now a digital nomad, currently living in Merida, Mexico with my husband and Labradoodle, I know that all the cheesy cliches are true. I've watched a lot of my dream life become my real life right in front of my eyes. Oh, and I've learned a whole lot about sales, business, and marketing along the way, and I want to share all of that with you. So here, you can consider me your friend and mentor. As a certified business coach, success trainer, international speaker, author, and copywriter, I've helped hundreds of coaches and entrepreneurs build, scale, and enjoy their online businesses. So here on the show, you'll find the real people, concrete tactics, and weekly motivation and inspiration to make your dream life your real life. I'm going to let you into the nooks and crannies of these dream lives and dream businesses and offer lots of real talk along the way. Because to be a true leader in whatever you're endeavoring in your life and to create a legacy that you're proud of, you need a tribe lifting you up with you on the journey. And I've made it my mission to be that partner with you. Because after all, we are all in this together. By the way, if you'd like some help improving your business and life, then we just might be able to help. Head on over to dreamlifeisreallife.com to learn more about what we do and how I might be able to personally support you and just continue this conversation in making your dream life your real life. All right, let's get to it. Hey friends, today we've got a special guest hanging out with us. We are with Amy Gray-Cunningham, who is an intuitive healer and Akashic Records Practitioner. She helps people understand why they're at the soul level and how they can start beginning to live the God life that our souls intended us to live. She believes that we're creators of our own experiences. Therefore, we always manifest the life we desire. 10 years ago in July 2011, so used to saying the 20s these days, but in July 2011, she donated a kidney to a stranger after hearing a voice tell her that she would be the one able to donate. They were a 1 in 20 million match and should have been siblings. So there was something to that voice. And since that time, her spiritual life has grown. She wrote a book about her spiritual journey through the kidney donation process called Daring to Believe. She has also started a podcast, Butterfly Kisses, a journey through spiritual transformation. Amy believes that life is a continuous journey of transformation and healing. We create and manifest our life based on the choices we make. It's all about experiencing our divinity through our humanity. And we're spiritual beings just having a human experience, right? So everyone has a story to tell. And that's the beauty of what brings us together today, Amy. I'm so excited to dive in with you.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on today. I'm super excited about this opportunity. So thank you.
Yeah, I talk to so many entrepreneurs who can draw parallels or see a similarity between what's happening in their inner world and what's happening in their outer world, right? Like our business is so often a reflection or a mirror of the place of healing or being that we're at in our inner world. And then our business or like what's happening outside of us is kind of that mirror. And hearing your story, it was like so inspiring to me to be able to see something like donating a kidney be such an opening for you in your spiritual life and your business life. But before we get into that stage of the game, will you take us back to the 2010s or kind of who you were, what you were up to before this, pivotal moment in your life in 2011? Who were you before that?
Oh, well, I guess we have to go back to when actually I was in high school, to be totally honest with you, because back then, even in my book, I talk about the fact that I really didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. and I really felt different. And people couldn't see me. Like I wasn't being seen, and I wasn't sure. I felt like there was more out there, but I didn't know what. And I felt like if God was handing out the book of life and how to live this life in this world, I obviously was skipping that class because I just didn't get it. It seemed like everybody else got it, whatever it was, but I didn't. And I couldn't quite figure out what that it was even supposed to be about. So I felt like a wanderer in the desert. I just didn't know where I was going or what I was doing. And I tried to find myself in everything other than me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sex, drugs, rock and roll. and I went with it. And it wasn't until my son was born where I actually understood what unconditional love was all about, because I loved something other than myself. Well, and I didn't even love myself, but I was able to begin to love myself by loving him. And I wanted a life for him that was bigger, better, more expansive than what I felt. And so because of him, it took me on this journey.
Yeah.
And I started looking for whatever it was. I started looking for it. And I started praying, and I started meditating, and I started asking questions, and things started falling into place. And I started where the only place I knew where to go, and that was back to church, because that was my roots. That's where my mother had started me at, even though I can remember being a teenager and trying to figure out what it was in the Bible. And so I thought, well, I'm going to sit and read the Bible. And I opened it up to Leviticus. Couldn't figure out a word in that, and ended up throwing the Bible across the room. I'm like, could have started off as something a little bit easier, like Matthew's or something. Leviticus. Yeah. Anyway, so I took my son to church, and that's where I started. And I kept asking God, I was like, I want to know more. I want to know who you are. Show me who you are. And that led to like an onion, layers being pulled back. And I started journaling. I had journaled.
The inner work started when I started asking those kind of questions, because I think a lot of people can relate to that, looking outside of ourselves for the answers. I mean, whether you have a traumatic event, or you just like want the answers to be in a self-help book, or you're just like looking for something. For me, I thought if I ran a marathon, I would be happy, just like all these like outside things that we chase or go after or like hunt down. And like, we're always just like wanting to find it. And I think this is the key. What you're saying is like, it's when we stop looking outside of ourselves and going inward and like finding that relationship with a higher being, or asking better questions instead of just like waiting to be told the answer. Right.
It's funny that you bring up marathon, because I did the exact same thing. I ran a marathon thinking, oh, that's where, I'll find myself. I'll figure out what it is at that. And all I did was I finished the marathon, but I ended up with really bad blisters on my feet.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've got a really nice medal, but and so it led to many different things. And then I'm all about, I can hear things and I sense things, and there's an all knowing that comes over. And I've had that since I was a little girl. And I remember pushing that away because I didn't like knowing things. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. But
by praying and meditating and journaling, those things started coming back. And I'll never forget the moment my husband was telling me, oh, do you remember Jennifer Ensley from high school? Because my husband and I dated in high school. And I was like, no, I don't know who you're talking about. And he's like, oh, yes, you do, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, he was telling me about her brother and how he needed a kidney. And I told him, I said, well, I really hope somebody steps up to help him, because I had compassion. I felt that connection to him. It was like there was an inner connection. Mm-hmm. And it was like a lightning bolt shot through me. And I literally heard, Amy, that person will be you.
Wow. I have chills.
And I was so grateful at that moment that I was the only one in the kitchen, because I was probably as white as a ghost. And I remember looking around like, what the hell was that?
And here's something really important. I just want to like slow down for a moment, because this is really, really important, that you were on a spiritual journey. You were starting to open yourself up. You were starting to allow the scary things and the inner work to blossom. You didn't have all the answers, but you were open to receive something. Yes. And then you hear something. Now, yes. I think on different levels as entrepreneurs, we've all had that. I mean, you can see the silly memes that are like, your dreams are calling, like, will you answer? Like, there's a reason why we have these desires of, you know, owning our own business or writing a book or these ideas. Like, they are not random, right? If the dream is in you, it is for you. But this experience is just such a great, like, okay, opportunity to make a choice. You heard the voice.
Yes. And I could have walked away.
Yeah. Did you listen? Did you run? Did you fight it? Like, what did you do?
Oh, Lord. Oh, yeah. I so wanted to fight it. But yeah, that little persistent nudge wasn't going away. And so I kept logging on to my husband's Facebook page to kind of follow the posts. And I was like, okay, God, well, if this is something you want me to do, you have to send me a sign. I mean, like a big neon freaking sign. Giving a body part away, that's a huge ask.
Yeah.
So I need
to scroll. Like, did someone else do it? Did someone else do it? Am I safe?
Yeah.
Did they do it?
Yeah. Somebody else gonna step up.
I got that one sign, God, but how about like 7 more just to really make sure.
So, and I remember I had just, for whatever reason, and I don't know why, but I had just literally found out that my blood type was O positive. I had never known that piece of information my entire life, up until like a week before hearing about David. So, and I'm scrolling, and I'd ask God, I was like, okay, give me a sign. Of course, Jennifer posts, well, David's O positive. I'm like, shit.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Sign number 2. Okay.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, can I have another one?
Yes, we do this. Okay. Like, it's laughable because, you know, you've gone through this and it's been a decade of this, like, being your reality, but you can see this, listeners, in your own life. Like, how many times has the same idea come to you? Has the random connection come across your inbox and you're still like, maybe next year? Like, this is just such a great, like, you know, extreme example, but I think we all have this week to week in our lives. And it's like, we keep waiting and waiting when we know the first sign, but we, game with ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I had to sit down and have that conversation with my husband. And I was like, I started off, well, honey, I've been thinking, I want to test to see if I could possibly be a donor for this guy, David. And I remember him looking at me like, yeah, you're crazy. My husband got used to those conversations. And every time I said, honey, I've been thinking, he wanted to turn around and run out the door.
Yeah, he starts. So, well, who have you actually been listening to? Right.
Exactly. So, and I sure wasn't going to tell him. I heard a voice tell me that I was going to be the one to do. I was not even going to go down that road at that point in time with him. So he was like, okay. And to be totally honest with you, at that point, I honestly didn't think it was going to go any further than the application. I really didn't. So I called the number that was on the Facebook page. I asked for the application. I got the application back. It was, I'm not kidding you, this thick, the envelope. I mean, there was so many questions. It took me.
You don't just like take kidneys like, it's candy.
Oh my God. They were very detailed in the questions that they asked. And let me tell you, if you ever want to donate a body part, you are one healthy person if you get approved. One healthy person, let me tell you, because they asked you everything and they didn't leave hardly any stone unturned. Mm-hmm. And then I get a call after I had submitted the application in. I mean, I get a call and they wanted me to come in and talk to them. I'm like, you want me to do what? Or they wanted me, I had to come in and do blood work. They wanted to do a cross match to see if I was even at this point, a match. So I'm like, okay. So I went in, did blood work. I was a match. Go figure.
1 in 20 million. Is that right?
It ended up being a 1 in 20 million match.
Wow.
Yeah. There was there's a scale that they use 0 to 6. And 0 being an absolute no match, where, I mean, you there's no markers that you're a match, and 6 being an identical twin. 3 is a sibling. And I was a 3. That's how close. I mean, we should.
Wow. Yeah.
So my brother and sister always joked, well, we told you were the milkman's baby, because I don't look anything like my brother.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
At that point,
time, when you were kind of getting these opportunities, getting these signs, like, what else was happening in your life? Were you an entrepreneur at that time? Were you just kind of?
I worked for a company. I worked for it was a nonprofit company, and it ended up being I had made the switch right before all that happened, and it was actually a really good thing, because this was another sign, because I really couldn't afford to take time off from work. And so I was like, okay, God, you're going to have to provide financially for me. The company, and I don't think that they realized that they did this, but they paid 100% of your short-term disability.
Oh, wow.
All I had to do was take 1 week's paid vacation. And I got 12 weeks off for recovery.
Wow.
So literally the only thing that I had to pay for was any kind of medication. I mean, that was
amazing for how intensive this all can be. Yeah.
And for a lot of people, you get short-term disability, they get 70-30. And I was thinking to myself, there's just no way at that particular time in our lives, that, because we had teenage boys and there was so many different things going on, that I could take a financial hit like that. And they paid 100%. So that was another sign that I was on the right path. I mean,
totally.
So, and this is 11 years later almost now, and David is doing fine. He's still chugging along, and he's a grandfather now, and his daughters are married, and
what a gift. Yeah, what a gift for so many people that you were able to open yourself up to allow. And with that decision and that awareness that you gained, and like, wow, the stars are all flipping aligned, even in my disability compensation, right? So you lean into it, you give the gift of life to this family. What does that mean for your spiritual transformation and the journey that you were already kind of starting to ask God for things, and he gave you a whole bunch, right, in the form of donating a kidney? But how did this then kind of continue to unfold for your spiritual and just personal journey?
Well, it's kind of, like I said, it's pulling back an onion. It's different layers that happened. I heard, it's time to write a book about this. So that was another process.
Another voice.
3 years in the making to do that. And there was many ups and downs, and many things that I had to work through, experience, understand, and move through to get to where I'm at. And you're talking, it's funny because you were talking about the fact that, you receive these emails and that you're supposed to do certain things and you don't. But I believe in divine timing, and everything happens just when it's supposed to. And I signed up for these emails for Akashic Records, learning how to read the Akashic Records years ago. And so every now and then I would receive these emails from Hanna He, and I'm like, and I'd read it and I'd throw it away, and I'd read it and, it just never resonated with me until one day it just finally clicked. And I don't know where or why or how, but it just finally clicked. I was at it was a vibrational, energetic match for me at that time. So I feel, a lot of people beat themselves up for, I should be this, I should do that, I need to do this, I need to do that. Why am I not where I think I need to be? And that is all egoic. That's all ego thinks. That's all being in the ego at that particular moment in time. And so whenever now I hear myself say, I should do this, I need to do that. I could be doing this better. I could be doing that better. I need to do this better. I know that I'm in the ego, because when I'm in spirit, when I'm in the moment, that stuff doesn't matter. And things will present themselves to me when I'm an energetic match for it.
Yes. This is like the forcing. I talk to people about this all the time, like, because I do copywriting and marketing, and in a very different way. Like, we force ourselves to like show up, post, hit our numbers, like enroll client, like this, like pushing and this forcing. And that's so out of sync with the universe, right? And when we can really start to understand our own blueprint and then map that with what's happening way bigger than us. I personally have gotten so much permission to, like, this year, for example, January felt like the like practice month of like still waiting to get ready, and I looked at kind of some of the things that my astrology friends were sharing, and that's kind of what's happening with this age of Aquarius. And I'm not exactly sure how that sort of astrology maps onto Akashic Records, but I'm guessing it's like other tools like human design that just help you like line up and understand it's not just you and the effort you take down here in this little micro game of your one being. But when you start to understand like all the bigger things that are at play, like other people having experiences, or you tell me, like, what are the other things at play that we need to tune into to really know when to push forward and when to just like sit back and allow? Where do we look?
Well, and that is the thing. It's funny because I was actually just talking to a friend of mine about this morning. My life is moving into a completely different direction where I'm hearing spirit more. And I'm literally opening up to a completely different realm. And I have my own personal ideas of how it should happen. And it's not working the way I think it should happen. So I've gotten frustrated with how the process is taking so much time. And the other day in meditation, I literally heard release control of the outcome. Because what is that? What is reality? What is reality? Reality is perception of what? So if I release the way I think it should come to me and be willing to allow how spirit wants it to happen, I may be in for a more intense ride than I could have ever imagined, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And once I did that, things are opening up in ways that I couldn't even imagine. And that's the key. I couldn't even imagine. My idea is so down here. And I liken it to the Macy's Day Parade. Literally, I'm at the corner of 3rd and 4th Street on that corner, and I see the floats coming by. Spirit's all the way up there in the Goodyear blimp. They can see the entire parade from the beginning all the way to Santa Claus. So they have a better perspective. And that's where the Akashic Records are held. So when I go into the Akashic Records, every now and then I get glimpses of how things may unfold. And I get these questions of what is reality? What exactly? So it changes my perspective on things. And when I do that, I'm like, okay, I need to, releasing the outcome of things is key. And when I do that, I open myself up to a higher vibration.
Yeah. So how can we open ourselves up to the records or kind of get that same insight?
Everybody goes into the records every night. So when you go to sleep at night, your soul actually goes into the records, whether we know it or not. If you do Reiki, you enter into the records. If you are meditating, you actually enter into the records. The records are available to everybody and anyone. They're everywhere and nowhere all at the same time. It's just an energetic place per se. So it's all set on intention. So if I intend, and I do this all the time when I go to sleep at night, if there's a certain computer program that I need to learn for work in my day job, and I literally will set that intention before I go to bed, and I'll write it down. I need to learn program.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to learn tonight
Yeah.
as I go into the records. Literally the next morning I'll wake up and I'll just know how to do it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I need to do this because I have wild dreams, and this might explain why I dream about writing emails regularly. Like I just see myself sending things off and, being a person who writes emails for other people. I thought it was annoying. I was like, oh my God, I can't even stop thinking about it in my dreams. But what if I shifted that and it was like, help me get so-and-so's content done for the month? Like, let's just, make it happen.
Yeah. So it's so amazing the things that you can do when you go to sleep at night, because your body needs the rest. Your soul does not. Your soul goes off and experiences in the fifth dimension and all these other dimensions, and they go into the records. And you get replenished and you get energized and you receive vital force energy when you're in there. Sometimes you're going to watch video. I don't know what, I mean.
Yeah. Well, shout out last night to my high school friends, because we went on a beach vacation and we got lost in my dream, but I guess I needed to vacation with my high school friends last night. Like, does the record explain our dreams even when I guess nothing is random, right? So if I can start setting an intention for my wild and crazy dream life, pun intended, my dream life is wild and crazy. I can start to learn new things, have new experiences, gain new insights. Is that right?
Definitely, without a doubt.
Wow.
Especially our dreams tell us a story of our inner world as well. So that's a whole other realm. And I love dream interpretation, especially, I love writing them down and then figuring out what they mean. And what's really interesting, and I have to share with you guys, my husband crossed, or he's in spirit. He crossed in June of this year. And this morning in meditation, I saw him and I asked, I was like, I need a sign today that you're here and that I'm seeing you and everything. All morning long, my front yard has been covered in red birds. And so I looked up the spiritual meaning of what red birds are, and they are, it is a sign from that your loved one is near, which is really kind of cool. And it says often it's a sign of a deceased family member or a loved one from a spirit world who is visiting you. I have thousands of red robin birds outside.
Wow. Yeah. It's all connected, right? It's all connected. One of my friends is, also very, not also, but, God, faith-based, right? She believes in God, and she's going through a hard time right now. And she also had a red bird visit her on Christmas. And then it kept kind of showing up throughout the day. And she's like, I don't know if I'm making something out of this, but I'm going to take it. And even if it's just that, whatever it means to anyone, right? And I think there's so much peace and trusting something bigger than yourself, right? We can doubt, we can analyze, we can figure out the science. Maybe you got seeds in your grass. Who cares? It's so much more magical to live in this place of knowing that it's not just up to you and the little day-to-day things that you're doing on your little corner of the parade here, but there are so many bigger things happening. And when we can relax into it, like you say, delight in the unfolding, how good could it get? What will it become, instead of it has to be this way and by this time and that's how I did my goals for 5 years. Run this marathon plan, hit these numbers, do this work, and shifting more into this faith-based business of allowing the unfolding, knowing it's all divine timing, has been so much more fun. I feel so much less behind. I might not be doing as much, but I feel more productive. Have you noticed that in your life too? Yeah.
And it's all about, we're here to experience ourselves and to have fun and to enjoy and be joy and to learn who we are at a soul level, and to learn just to experience and to love and to be joy and to share. And, I always ask when things come up, when I get triggered by certain things, what is it I'm supposed to see in this situation? How can I perceive it from a higher loving vibration? What is the message in this lesson that I can learn, that I can take from it, that I can grow from it? I don't always do that. I mean, there's times I get caught up in the sadness and the grief and I get pissed off, but if I can take a step back away from the egoic third dimensional aspect of Amy and remember that I am spirit having a human experience, and ask those questions, oh my God, I raise my vibration and I see things from a completely different perspective. And I can help others see things from a completely different perspective.
Yes. Yeah. Getting out of your head and into the world. My husband says a lot. And it's that same, just like, how is this happening for me? Like, what is the lesson here? I love that. So
go ahead. When we ask those questions, we're bringing abundance to us.
Bringing it to us, becoming that magnet for good. Yeah. And again, magnets don't force, right? Back to that idea. So Amy, this is beautiful, super inspiring. And I think people who are going through confusion in life right now of like, what is happening? Why are all these things happening for me, to me? What's happening? Or, going through grief or their own trauma right now. I think you're such a powerful lighthouse, and really the way that you've kind of set yourself up to be this beacon of light. I said that before we went recording, and I didn't know we would get back to that. But where can people, read your book, continue this conversation with you, and just continue getting all of this knowledge that you have? Where can they stay connected?
Oh, they can find me at my website at amygray-cunningham.com or Facebook at Amy Gray-Cunningham. I'm on Instagram at Amy Gray-Cunningham and Twitter at Amy Cunningham1.
That's great. But I will make sure we have links to your website because this is such a powerful message. And if people do want to dive in deeper, we'll make sure that they can get in touch, grab your book, do all the things. So thank you so much for your time and energy. Go play with the birds. That sounds like a great thing for you to get out and do, because
I'm just enjoying watching them out there from the window. It's rainy and yucky here. So
I got it. Well, friends, we'll be back with another inspiring guest next week that will help you make your dream life your real life. Oh. And don't forget to hop on over to dreamlifeisreallife.com/show for specific goodies that we talked about today and access to continue the conversation with these guests as well as myself. I cannot wait to see what you create. Until next time.